Hi there. So this is a session all about scholarly tools. So I'm Mark. I'm the research librarian at Cardiff Met, and hopefully you'll get something interesting out of watching this video. I'm going to go through a couple of slides and then go into some live demos, so you get to see what I'm talking about in live action, as it were. So here we go. So what I'm going to cover today, I'm going to cover how to access scholarly content, so academic journals, books, that sort of thing. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about discovery as a concept, but give you some live demos about what I mean by that. I'm going to talk a little bit about open data as well and how to find that in legitimate venues. So really going to focus on new ways to find scholarly and academic content. You may have been used to using things like MetSearch before, Google Scholar, but I'm going to show you how things integrate. And I'm going to show you how to use new things like extensions to really make that kind of academic workflow work better for you. And again, as I mentioned, I'm going to go through a lot of live demos, so you'll see exactly what I'm talking about rather than me going through loads of slides and that sort of thing, which probably would be quite boring for you. So hopefully you'll get something out of today. Here's some useful links. These will be covered off as a PDF, so you'll be able to access these direct through that alongside the video. But in any case, I'm going to cover some extensions here. So this is Lean Library and LibQ Nomad, which are extensions to access content. I'm going to also talk about how to look at academic content in different ways. So this is through connected papers and Insightful. I'll demo what exactly I mean by that, so you'll see what I mean in a moment. And I'll talk a little bit about data and data management as well, mostly because I point towards the UK Data Archive and UK Data Service as really good sources for this sort of thing, but also Google Dataset Search and the Digital Creation Service as well. I'll explain more about what I mean by that as we go through. So here are my contact details. So that's me, I'm Mark. As I said, I'm the research librarian. You can contact me on Teams or via my email address here. Anytime, feel free to get in touch. And also you can follow me on Twitter under Met Open Research, which is a created feed I have that talks about research and interesting things in research, as I do say so myself. So please, if you do use Twitter, do give it a follow. So I'm going to come out my slides and start to talk through the live demos here. So here we go. So I'm going to mention MetSearch first because this is the library access and discovery layer. So you can come here to find lots and lots of different stuff. I'm going to log in as myself just so I can demo exactly what I want to talk about here. So within MetSearch, as you probably know, hopefully you can use it to access anything that the library holds: physical books, ebooks, all of our journal content, all of our databases as well, which are particular if you're doing things like systematic reviews or looking at particular disciplines. That's a very useful thing. I do always point out at the start of these sessions that what we have within the library are a couple of different services that perhaps doctoral students may not know about. One of those is interlibrary loans. Interlibrary loans is a place where you can go to essentially access any content where we don't subscribe to it within the library. So if you want to access a particular book, or if you want to access a particular journal article, and you found it on Google Scholar, for instance, and you can't access it, so there's no way, there's no place, there's no link giving you an access point, you can request it through here, and you can have that delivered to you digitally. So you don't have to come into the library to pick up a book if you live quite far away from Cardiff, for instance. You can get it sent to you. And it's the same way with digital books. So if you're trying to find a book and you can't find it through MetSearch and you can't find it through any other means, we can actually get hold of it for doctoral students in particular through our purchase request system here. So you can submit a purchase request with all the details within there. And essentially, if we can get hold of it and it's at a good price, which they usually are, we can make it available for you, but then crucially, we make it available for anybody else as well. So you get the benefit of accessing something, but the library also gets the benefit of growing our own digital collection of books, which is what we want to do. So please, I would really encourage you to check those two out if in the future you're watching this and you're thinking, I need to get hold of something and the library doesn't have it, can't find it anywhere else. Where do I go? These are the places to go. I also point out MetaSearch within my sessions here when I talk about scholarly tools, because it has various different features that are actually very, very nice in a way as a way to organize things. So I'm going to do a quick search for digital literacy in higher education. And I'm just going to demonstrate what I mean by that. So MetaSearch has a feature called My Favorites. So if you click on your name in the top right once you're signed in, there's a little My Favorite section here with the pin. Essentially, this is what you can where you can pin things. So I'm just going to pin this article here. And what that does is it sends it to a nicely a list with it under My Favorites, which is called Save Records, but essentially it's everything that I've pinned to here. And what you can do here then is do various things. You can organize it. As I've done here, kind of rudimentary, I've got a lot of things that I've labeled. So I can give it my own sort of folksomonies. I can give it my own terminology. So I've just done quite rudimentary sets of words and phrases here. But you could go into any sort of length and depth that you want to. You can really go into quite a lot of detail using this. And this is quite a nice way to organize sort of initially. So that's why we pointed out in these sessions, because it's a very quick way to organize. And you don't have to use anything else. You don't have to use a notebook. You can use this, again, digitally through MetaSearch, and it's a useful thing to do. The other benefit of using MetaSearch, I would say, is you can save searches via this save query option here. So essentially what that does is it saves your search here. So if you've got a good, you think you've got a good amount of results here and it's looking like a promising thing for you to look at in the future, you can save it down. And what you can do with that is you can actually turn a notification on. You can get this notification sent to any email address that you want, so you don't have to use your Cardiff Met email address. You could use your personal one if you use that more. That's all fine. I'm going to save that down, and I'm going to go back to My Favorites again, because this is where all the saved searches live. So under here, I've got a bunch of saved queries and saved searches where I've come across things. As you can see here, I've probably used this quite a lot within my demos, because it's pretty much all about digital literacy and higher education. But in any case, regardless of that, you can then run the search again, and it will notify you when new articles and books potentially come in within this subject area. So you can get to see what's happening almost immediately when it's published, which is always a really quite nice thing. My final bit on MetaSearch is I'll point out on the right-hand side, we've got our tweak my results, which essentially is a faceted way to look through what you've got within your results and condense it down. I've got a lot of results here. I'm not going to look through them all. I'm probably going to look past maybe the first page on this, potentially. So I want to really condense it down. I want to condense it down just to peer-reviewed journals, for instance. And then I want to also condense it down to things from 2010, say, onwards. I'm not particularly interested in anything in the back. I want that kind of up-to-date research, recent history then as well. So I've just tweaked that slightly, and I have got the real results down to a little bit. And I can go further and further into this as I want to. You can talk it through in terms of the genre, but you can also talk it through in terms, condense it down in terms of the subject, which is quite nice as well, because you may be just focusing on, say, higher education here. I just want the higher education results. I don't want any other results within my search. And again, I can get down to that really nice condensed list that I know is a decent set of results and is quality in that sense as well. So that's a quick thing with MetaSearch. Hopefully you've seen things there that you've probably potentially not used before. But I will now move on to Google Scholar, because this will be a place where I'm sure lots and lots of people have used before and find it very useful still. I personally find it very useful myself. It's very good for access. As you probably know, you get a nice PDF. It's telling you that there's a place that I can go and access this. So I can click on that and get at the PDF. This looks like a good result, for instance, for digital literacy and higher education. So I know I can go through and take a look at that and see what's happening, which is great. What a lot of people don't know is that Google Scholar can do a thing where it connects with MetaSearch. It's a very, very simple process. It happens under the settings on the left-hand side. Then you've got this option that says library links. And in there, you can pop in Cardiff Met, click on the search box, I'm going to just make sure that that works again. There we go. Cardiff space Met rather than Cardiff Met, all one word. And once you have that, you have this option here that says Cardiff Met, view to Cardiff Met. I'm clicking the radio box on the left-hand side. I'm going to save that down. And now what has happened is it's kept my search there going, which is great. I don't have to put in the search terms again, which is very nice. But I can also have this option to view it at Cardiff Met. Now, in a lot of cases, as you can see here, it's given me a PDF already because most likely this is being published open access, or it's being published, for instance, on ResearchGate there, so it's available. So that's fine. That's cool. But there's going to be stuff, I'm hoping, in this list. Here we go. This one in particular, where I want to access this article and it doesn't appear to be anywhere else. So I can't access an open access version. I can't access it elsewhere. Google Scholar can't find it, so it's probably not available in any way on the internet. So I can use the View It at Cardiff Met option here just to go back to Met Search, and it gives me a direct link back to the article. So what now is that's going to do is you can click on this link here to check for the article itself. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to go back and show you another example where it directly links through. So here we go, this example here. I'm going to click on this. And what now this has given me, which is great, which is exactly what I wanted to see, it's given me the option here to download the article or link out and access it in other ways. But with Meta Search, again, there's this nice feature where you can just straight away go and download the article, take a look at it, which is really, really good. So that's telling me exactly I can access it and I'm away. So that's Google Scholar in terms of a nice connection option. I'll run through it again just for the benefit of the video. It's within the settings option here. And it's this library links option in the top left. And within there, pop in Cardiff space Met, click search, and then click save down. And then once you're in your search results, as you go through, it will stay there. It's worthwhile probably getting a Google Scholar account just to make sure it's saved there for as long as you need it. It's probably worthwhile considering that. But in any case, you can go back and do it again if it does disappear. And then you've got the option, it will just sit there and work automatically for you when you need it, which is ideal. There's other options as well that we offer now in the library in terms of accessing things. So we also offer a couple of things called browser extensions. One of these is called Lean Library. That's the web address to go and find it. This is included within the PDF that comes along with the video, so don't worry too much about finding it in this way. But what you have here is a series of browser extensions for a series of browsers. We've got all the major ones covered here, including ones for Apple, and including more sort of open source ones as well in Firefox and Opera too. But I'm using Chrome, so I'm going to use my example here by using Chrome. But it also is available in Edge too. So that's Lean Library. There's also libkeynomad, which again is available by this address that I'm highlighting at the top there. I would say, again, this is going to be included in the link, so don't worry too much about noting that down. That also has direct links to where you can download the extension. It doesn't include Apple products, unfortunately, at the moment. And in any case, I'm going to demonstrate how they both work right now. So in that sense of you've come across an article online, possibly through Scholar, possibly just through searching through normal Google in that way. You're just idling about, you're trying to find some stuff for your work, and you come across something and it's not open access, it's closed access as indicated by this padlock here. You've got an access options button here, so you may click on that and try and get through. You've got access options down here which include purchasing, which you don't want to do because that's £30 for one article. This is recognised that I'm from Cardiff Met here, so I may click through that. That may work for me, but again, I'm not sure because I've never really done that. I've also got this account option here, which again, I don't want to do because I don't want to have another account somewhere else. So what you can do is use the browser extensions to essentially give you access to content. So I'm going to switch them on. This is mostly how it works in Chrome, but also it works in the same way like this within pretty much all the other browsers. Within your settings menu of your browser, you've got usually an extensions option. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to find them in the list because I've got a lot of extensions, as you can see. And I'm going to turn on Lean Library. I'm going to turn on libkeynomad. So I've turned them on now. I'm going to come back out of there. I can see that they've turned on because we're in the top right here. I can then get access back to the extensions menu if I need to switch them off, for instance, or switch any others on. I'm going to reload and refresh the page here. So what this has now done, I'm going to hope, and it's going to work, is here we go. Great. This sometimes in when I do demos doesn't work, so I'm pretty glad that it's worked today because I'm recording this. So here is the option now to download the PDF straight away. So this option up here is the Lean Library option. Again, this actually advertises Lean Library within the actual journal website, which is quite nice as well. And you've also got the option here for downloading the PDF via libkey Nomad. I personally usually have both switched on, mostly because it means that I definitely can access something. And the libkey Nomad option and the Lean Library option only really pop up when I'm looking at journal websites, or for instance, if I'm looking for a book on Amazon, for instance. If you're looking for a book on Amazon, it will come up with our, if we have it available as an ebook, it will come up as an option to link directly through. I'll show you that in a moment as well, actually. So once you're there, you can go into download PDF or download PDF there, and that's pretty much it. What I usually suggest to people is you want to just keep it on. It kind of follows you around in a good way and really kind of nicely gets you, gives you access when you really need it. So I'm going to go next on to demonstrating something quickly through PubMed. So in PubMed, you may use this for purposes of yourself, particularly if you're in sort of health science related disciplines or sports science and some of those other sport courses. You may use this sort of search engine to find stuff. I'm going to use digital health as an example. And once I have, because I've got libkey Nomad switched on, there's a nice integration feature here that I'm just showcasing, which is it gives me direct access to go and download the PDF through PubMed, which is absolutely, I think it's great. I love this feature, mostly because what you can do then is it's given me a lot of free articles and things like that within PubMed as well, which is, as you may know, if you use it a lot, it will give you access to open access content too really easily. But it's a nice feature where you can just kind of go straight away and just go and have a look at the PDF. So if it's not available for free elsewhere, you can go and take a look at it. And I think that's really, really nice. It's very, very nice feature. And just that's a very quick demo of that. I'm going to pop onto Amazon for a second, mostly because I just want to demonstrate what I mean by the ebook link. So I'm going to put in sports coaching concepts as a title. And within sports coaching concepts here, I know this this one quite well from other positions I've had and other jobs. What this should hopefully do is now start to recognize and give me a link back to an ebook alternative. So I've searched for this book on Amazon. I may be considering buying it. I don't particularly want to buy it, but I need to buy it. I can't find it elsewhere. But what this is doing now is, as you can see here quite quickly, Lean Libraries popped up and told me the library has this as an ebook. So I can link straight away using this link back to the ebook and access it there, which I think is quite a lovely feature to this browser extension. So those are browser extensions. I'm going to quickly move on to a couple of different ways to think about exploring research and think about finding research. I'm going to use the example of a couple of tools that build knowledge graphs and give you a different view of what our papers are connected together. So I'm going to use this example, which is I know this is quite a well-known paper in a field that I research myself and I'm quite interested in. The main thing about it is it's really important to take a note and copy and paste things like DOIs of these sort of things, because once you have that, you can use these tools really, really well. So I'm going to take the DOI of this article and I'm going to pop it into connected papers here. It's given me matching up now via the DOI with the title. So I'm able to click on that. And now what it's done is given me a really, really quick knowledge graph. So what this knowledge graph does is it has the paper that I'm looking at in the center, and it's given me all the connections. So it's given me citation connections, And it's given me suggestions of papers that perhaps I may want to look at in terms of where this paper has been cited in the future, but also what this paper cited in the past. So it's perhaps going to give me a good view of what to look at. So rather than having to search through lots and lots of different stuff and find lots of different things and do all the reading that would be required, I can use a tool like this to kind of sift through, to kind of just give that quick overview of, am I in the right area? Is this paper connected to the right sources in that sense, or the sources that I perhaps recognize? So I can recognize that this paper is a very good paper to be reading, to be taking notes from, to be citing within my own work even. So you've got that really nice quick overview. And what this does as well is it gives you a nice way to explore further. So you can click on, say, I'm going to use this one as an example. You can then go out and find the paper within Google Scholar. So if you want to look at the paper a bit further, you can probably find it from there, or you can link out to the publisher page again. And that's where the browser extensions come in. So rather than having to go back to MetaSearch to search this paper, to do this, to have several different tabs open, I can just have 2 or 3 tabs open, because I know if I go to the publisher page and I can get access to something, the browser extensions will give me that access straight away. And equally, I can link out to Google Scholar and do perhaps follow my own usual workflow, which is take a look to see if there's access within there. So that's connected papers. You've got that nice visual within that, but you can also expand out in terms of the list of the papers as well. So you can take a look. And if you're interested in perhaps what's been cited the most that's connected to this paper, so which paper has had the most citations, which paper has had the most connections, and has had perhaps the biggest impact in terms of citations, the biggest impact, you can see there. But then you've got this similarity to original. So you can see, in a way, this gives you a percentage figure of how similar it is to the paper. So you can see if there's perhaps things that perhaps have been cited either in the past or in the future that are connected to this paper, and see how similar it is. It obviously can go down all the way down to, which is a little bit less, perhaps a bit less similar, but perhaps again you may not see that within other searches. You may not see the connection, so you may think, oh, this one actually, I'm thinking about it now because I haven't seen this one before, so this might be a useful one to go and take a look at. Again, it's a different way to explore. It's a different way to think about the work that you're perhaps looking for as academic information. I'm going to move on to Insightful here, and Insightful, there's a very similar thing to connected papers, but it gives you a little bit more in-depth information in terms of, you can see straight away how many, if you're searching for this paper, again going back to this similar paper that I know is a pretty decent paper within the field that I'm looking for, you can see how it's cited by, you can see how many people what it's citing in terms of how many articles it's already cited. You can see if it's open access again, so you can actually see how to get access to it if you need to. And then you get that that knowledge graph again. I'm just going to go, wait, there we go. That was quicker than I thought it would be. What I can do then with that knowledge graph again is move around it, and it is a very similar thing to connected papers in the way of just giving me this kind of nice knowledge graph, and again gives me that nice similarity scoring as well, and that nice citation scoring that connected papers had. I'd probably recommend having a look at both in terms of what you maybe wanted to use this sort of piece of software and service for. I'm just going to go, I've lost the graph there. The graph on this one does occasionally disappear. So it's always worthwhile refreshing it potentially like that, refreshing it using this button in the right-hand side there that I'm highlighting over. So you can also see similar papers, but you can also see the most important papers. So this is papers in terms of page rank. So page rank is a way of measuring how many people have looked at a page over time on the internet. So you can see what are potentially the most popular papers in that sense. These are some, again, this is quite a nice feature because I can already see there's a paper here that I haven't looked at before. So I'm going to go away after this and take a look at that. This one in particular, just to see what, just to see if it's going to be important for my own my own research and my own understanding of the areas that I work in. And again, you've got these very nice sort of ranking features too. It's always worthwhile taking a look through it all, because there's lots and lots of nice in-depth information in here. And again, that's sort of information that perhaps you may be trying to figure out yourself, or trying to see the connections yourself. And what these tools are both doing, Connected Papers and Insightful, they're taking away some of that work. They're taking away some of that legwork, so you can actually get in there and actually start to understand what you're looking at almost immediately, which I think is a big benefit. Just to move on quickly to data and open data in particular, I do mention within these that a lot of people don't know that Google now have a dataset search. I'm just going to demonstrate this quickly just by putting in one topic of importance. It's not the only topic of importance, but it's a very important topic, and that's climate change. And what you have within this are open data sets from the open web that you can go and take a look at. So I'm going to use an example of some government data. So here from the UK government, they've made available publications, but also data sets as well, crucially, and openly available. That's also another crucial point, where you can go and take a look at the actual data. So this is from the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and these are some statistics to do with climate change and in agriculture. So again, this might be the sort of thing you might be interested in. It's giving you a description of what it is, so you should be able to kind of figure out what it is before you go and take a look at it. But it also does things around, you can see there's economic statistics. There's also potentially other statistics in terms of things from European Commission and places like that. So you've got a really nice, quite quick overview of, if you're interested in looking for data on topics, you can see that quite quickly. You can also have an overview of topics as well up here, and you can also just click on this free button too. So in that way, of what I mean by free, it's free access, so it's open access to the data, and that's always quite nice to do as well, because you don't want to be potentially coming across a data set where you perhaps need to pay to access it, because you may not be able to, and you may not be wanting to, for instance. So there's that kind of filter up there too, as you'd expect from most kind of search engines. I'm going to point out a couple of things that the UK have in particular that are very decent in terms of data. So we have the UK Data Archive that, as it says at the top, gives you access to a collection of social science and population research data. So there's various different levels that come with access to this sort of data. Again, it's very much based on a search process. So you can look through the data catalog. You may find that some data sets are openly available because they don't contain perhaps sensitive data, but you may find there's other data sets that contain more sensitive data. So if you need to access things, you can go through a process with the UK Data Archive to access. Again, it would be things like verifying that you're from an academic institution. You may need to get your supervisor to give you permission and to give you a reference, just that sort of thing. But they've also, quite importantly, got a bunch of resources here around on-demand tutorials, webinars, about data management too, which is quite nice, and I always point to as well. Similarly, for the UK Data Service, this gives you economic, social and population data as well. And again, this is for research and teaching purposes too. For instance, it's got various things around the new census from the UK that has just fairly recently just been released. So it's got a lot of data in there. And again, it's got resources. Again, you can explore by theme or type. You can search the catalogue. And you can also find out a little bit more about the work that they do. I very much recommend, if you're looking for research data or managing research data, looking at these two services is very crucial. And lastly, I'm going to mention the Digital Creation Centre, because they help us in Cardiff Met run our own programme. And what we do in Cardiff Met is we offer training in data management. So we can help doctoral students and other researchers write and put together good data management plans. So the DCC run a service called DMP Online, and you would find information on here about that. And what we offer within Cardiff Met is access to DMP Online and our own instance, where you can go and take a look at how to use that. And you can also, I'm going to bring up DMP Online just as an example here. So you can go online and take a look at DMP Online. You can log in with your own details, whichever one you want. As long as you indicate that you're from Cardiff Met, it will link up quite nicely. And once you're there, what you have are things around templates. So you can see things like public DMPs where people have made their data management plans openly available. So you can search that and take a look for some. You can also, if you have particular funder requirements, so you may have a particular funder that maybe you want to bid into potentially in the future, or you maybe have a particular funder where they're asking you to generate a data management plan. You can go and look. These have all of the templates ready to go. And these templates are not just standard templates that with no information. When it comes down to anything that's public, anything that's private, and anything that comes through a funder, there's always advice and information available when you're going through this. And at Cardiff Met, we have our own template as well that we're working on to be made available for everybody to essentially try and embed data management plans within people's own workflows and places like that. So that is DMP. It's always worthwhile checking out if you are looking at data. So I'm coming to the end of this video. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to bring my contact details back up at the end. As I mentioned, I'm Mark. I'm the research librarian. You can get in touch with me around any of these tools and any of these services. Feel free via email or via Teams. Thanks very much for listening. Appreciate your time. Good luck and I hope to speak to you soon. Thank you very much indeed.